Let's go. Hey, DB pride on 3, then we do on 6. 1, 2, 3. DB pride. 1, 5, 6. Woo!
What's up, guys? I'm Tyler Morris. I play Division III lacrosse and football at Alvernia University, and welcome to the channel. Today we'll have a Zoom interview with Shane Gaines, graduate of Salisbury University. I want to start an interviewing series. It'll have to be on Zoom for now because of coronavirus and I can't get out to do these interviews one-on-one. But Shane had a wonderful, amazing career at Salisbury. Like I said, he's a Salisbury graduate. He started off D2, made his way back to D3. We'll kind of explain to you why. Hopefully he can provide insight to you guys that I can't give you myself. Now he's coaching. Ultimately, he had the opportunity to play football at the next level, but he chose to follow his passion for coaching. So with further ado, here's an interview with Shane Gaines. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right, guys. Tyler Morse here with Shane Gaines, graduate of Salisbury. As I mentioned earlier, Shane had an incredible career at Salisbury. Some of his accolades include NJ Rookie of the Year, ECAC Rookie of the Year, D3 Football All-Region, a couple conference championships, a couple NCAA tournament bids, and he just recently was voted to be on the Salisbury University All-Decade team. So please welcome Shane Gaines. And Shane, thank you for taking the time out to speak with us today. Just kind of, can you give us your story on how recruiting went for you and just kind of what brought you to the D3 level?
Yeah, I got you, man. First, appreciate you, Ty, having me on here and speaking about the opportunity that I had, to play Division III and coach Division III. So going back to recruiting for me, excuse me, I first was recruited out of Owens Mills High School in Baltimore County, Maryland, which is a 1A area, what us coaches call now a one-star area, which is pretty small schools. We compete in a small conference, but you find your diamonds in the rough every now and again. So I was a smaller guy, 5'6", about 145, 150 pounds, playing quarterback, and I was doing what I had to do for my team, which a lot of guys probably are out there doing at a number of positions. But I ended up getting recruited to play defensive back. I played defensive back my senior year. Had a pretty good senior year statistically with 10 interceptions. So I think that kind of helped me, get recruited to be something other than a quarterback. So I ended up getting recruited by a couple Division II schools, a few Division III schools, but I had partial scholarships and full scholarships to, a couple schools like New Haven, Edinburgh, Shepherd University, and Millersville. And out of those 4 or 5 schools, Shepherd was the best. They were number 3 team in the nation at the time. They probably had, a 45-2 record, going into that year. So I chose a partial scholarship over going to a Division III, probably where I would have shined, early on. But I chose that route, and I wanted to do what a lot of guys want to do is, take the big name and, go follow a scholarship. And I went there, and it was a rude awakening being around, number 3 team in the country. All 4 D linemen that was on the defense with me went to the NFL, so you could tell the type of talent that was around me. The 3rd string corner is now a safety for, the Philadelphia Eagles. So, Trey Sullivan. So, those are the guys that I had to compete with. Playing with those type of guys, it was a little tougher to get on the field and, see playing time and stuff like that. So I kind of tried to refer back to my coaches. And like I mentioned before, there was no relationship there. There was no bond there. There was no mentorship there or, older brotherhood type of thing that you get from, your college coaches, whether, they're older coach or younger coach. So I stuck my nose down, put my head down and really grinded hard. And I gained about 30 to 35 pounds in the spring. I had a really good spring. We had grades for the spring practices and spring game, and I averaged grade out, at a 92 throughout the spring. And, they told me that, I would still be 3rd string, play on special teams. But again, I had those guys in front of me who were, now NFL guys. And not to say I couldn't compete there, but, I felt that there was a better place for me in the country. I was like, there's somewhere else better for me in this country out of all the schools in the United States. So I sought out another D2. I wanted to stay on D2 because all my friends were, D2 guys, D1 guys, D1 AA guys, athletically. And, I also struggled academically. Just wasn't focused there. Like I said, I had no real guidance. So, I was seeking out other places. I wanted to stay status quo. I wanted to be, a scholarship guy. So I went out to play at Millersville, try to play at Millersville University under head coach Clark, who's at Alvernia University with Ty now. He gave me an opportunity to play. Some things didn't work out financially. So, one of his good friends was Coach Sherman Wood at the great Salisbury University that I played at. So he reached out to me. This was on a Tuesday. And he was like, I heard about you. I watched a highlight film from, high school, and I made a little practice film from, Shepherd playing. And he was like, I watched your film. And he's like, man, I love the talent that you have, this, that, and the third. He said, I have, I have your class schedule. I have your housing assignment. I just need you to get here by Thursday. And to me, that really changed my whole perspective of Division III. It changed my whole perspective of, how a coach should be, because this guy knew nothing about me. All he knew was what he heard from, I guess, whatever Coach Clark said, because I had no idea. That really stood out to me, that, this guy took the time to help me get my class schedule based off the major that I said I wanted to be. He had a housing assignment for me when I got there as far as on campus. And, when I got there, it was all love from day one. And I had another struggle to face where I had to sit out again, my freshman year, my, freshman season. And red shirt again, or gray shirt, because of academic reasons, not because I wasn't eligible academically, but because of credits. So, I had to sit out another year. But the whole time I'm sitting out, I'm getting contact from coaches contacting me, daily, checking on me, inviting me to practices, inviting me to meetings and stuff like that. And, that experience was tough. I was down because I was like, dang, I was at a D2 school. I was at another D2 school. I saw, I was about to see playing time, whether it was on special teams or not. I was like, man, I was about to see playing time at a Division II, and I really knew nothing about Salisbury. I never even heard of it. Only thing I knew was about Ocean City, which was, pretty close to it. So I went down there and I was just bummed. Like, my first semester there, because I knew I would come back in the spring. So, I had this big ego that I was this D2 guy, that, I'm at this Division III school. I'm going to take over Division III, this, that, and the third. And, it was a rude awakening, because Salisbury, little did I know, was one of the top Division III programs on the East Coast and in the country. So, I was competing with guys who, who were pretty good to be at Division III, and probably should have been Division II guys, and some guys should have been Division I AA guys. And I ended up, doing well in the spring, and, beating the guy out for the starting spot at safety. And then from that moment on, I was a redshirt freshman. That moment on, I got the accolades that Ty mentioned. And I played a pretty intricate role at my Division III school. But, outside of playing, I think the best part of Division III was the connection that I had with my coaches. I could go in my coach's office anytime. I could call them anytime of the day, and just talk to them about football, about life, any struggles I had. Their big focus was on academics and what I was going to do, 20 to 30 years after I graduated, and not just what I could do for them now. And I think the difference between playing and getting money for it and having a scholarship is that a lot of guys who, coaching those upper levels, it's all about the money. Once you take a kid's money, or once the kid leaves, it's done with them. And that's not to say that's for every Division II school, every Division I school, but, from experience that I heard, of guys who played at that level, I see that, that's a big thing with the Division II level. But, Division III, you got to put athletics first, because you're not getting paid for it. So you got to put your athletic career first, as far as, when it comes to your extracurricular activities, and then obviously school. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of enthusiasm to, be successful at, certain Division III schools, which are usually higher academic schools for some guys. So, guys who look down on Division III, you should look at it as a plus, because not everybody gets into Division III schools. The difference is, a lot of people can get into Division II schools and, Division I schools, and, make that low. After I finished playing football, I pursued professional football, and I played in the FCS Bowl with all Division I guys. There probably was 4 Division III guys, and I was one of them. But all the guys I played with, played at FCS schools or, smaller D1 schools, and I did okay there. I ended up breaking my foot in the week of that game. We had downtime. I went to go play basketball, broke my foot, and things just wasn't the same. After that, so I wanted to live on my passion. My dream was to play professional football, but my passion is to coach and affect people like Ty. Have that lasting impact. And now, I'm coaching at the Division II level at American International College in Springfield, Massachusetts. up and coming program. And, I want to change the stigma that, like I said, that Division II, coaches and, experience is all about the money. I wanted to make it about the passion and about the love, for the players and the coaches. So, like Tom mentioned, I had a pretty good career, living out my passion now. And I'm proud to say I played Division III sports.
Now, you mentioned coming from D2 to D3, you kind of assumed that you would step into that role, be ready to go, automatically kind of just, solidify yourself within the rotation. What was that transition like? Was there a shock when you seen how much talent was at the level? And how would you say Division III competition compared to your D2 experience?
The D2 experience, I can say, like, coaching at it now and then looking at it back when I was playing, it's the same, man. All I can say is that the Division II, because they have scholarships, they're probably going to have a little bit more size. They're going to be guys with a little bit more size at, position by position. Maybe not overall team-wise, but there's going to be some positions, offensive line, defensive line, and maybe tight ends that are going to have some bigger bodies on a Division II level. But Division III, when I went in, like I said, the transition was tough for me a little bit because they were actually coaching. Like, they were teaching football. They were teaching, their version of football when it comes to their philosophies and namings and recognition of stuff like that. But, it actually helped me learn football and become a good coach. And I wasn't just there learning for the time being and trying to figure out, what that Division II school was all about and what was football about in general. So the difference there is I wasn't, everybody, just like, everywhere you go in the country, everybody was good, just like D2 and D1. Every guy that I played with was, all state. Every guy I played with was, the best in their team captains at the Division III school. You hear that a lot playing sports, that everybody you play with in college is, probably was the man in their town or the top guy in their high school. It's the same thing with Division III. As you were the top guy on your high school team. You were the quarterback, you were the captain, you were all county, all that stuff like that. It's the same thing. The biggest difference I could say was the size. But at a top Division III like Salisbury, we played against great competition and there was size. And, looking at it now, being a Division II coach, it's pretty much the same thing, man. Like I said, keep reiterating, it's the size. That's the only difference is a little bit of size. But, if you can ball, you can ball. So, despite the size, I know guys that would go to Division III from D2 and get their butt whooped. And then I know guys that will go from, Division III to back to up to Division II that would kill. So wherever you play, man, I think the biggest adjustment is going to be mental.
After having time to step back and just kind of reflect on your experiences in college, what would you say your biggest takeaways were that you got from attending Division III?
It will be the relationships that were built. Now I have lifelong friends that I have, that guys that I had when I was at the Division II school. That I don't even know if they exist anymore. But the guys that I met when I was at Division III, those are guys I'm going to have my wedding. The coaches that I had, those are the coaches that I probably invite to my wedding, or that I call when big events happen. So it's not even the sports part about it, man. It's the family atmosphere that they have at Division III. Because it's bigger than just playing for scholarship, and it's for the money. It's a relationship that were built at Division III. Even guys that don't even play football with me, I have relationships with basketball players. I have relationships with the track guys or soccer players or lacrosse girls or whatever it is. I have a relationship with those people playing at Division III.
Now, for the most part, some of the people that I speak to on Division III, they kind of assume that athletes just show up to the game, show up to practice, go to class, and carry on about their day. How much time would you say you dedicated to football, to be more direct on your sport, but how much time would you say you spent on football outside of practice and outside of the games to really prepare yourself and kind of craft your game?
I think I took it a little overboard. I definitely had school as a top priority. I finished with a 3.0 and obviously got into a master's program, but football was number one and I got a 3.0. So imagine, guys who are maybe making it equal and making school just as important and getting a higher GPA than me. But, like I said, I got into grad school, get my master's degree. So, I took care of school. But when it came to football, man, just as professors always say, you need to spend 2 hours a day or an hour and a half a day on that subject for that to be successful in that class. I was spending about 2.5 to 3 hours extra a day on football, where I was watching film, or if it was dedicating some time to my craft. And, as I coach guys now, and I always said it as a player, if I just spend 45 minutes a day on my physical craft, you know, I'll be fine. I'll do a lot better than a lot of guys. If I spend at least football or my sport in general, I think that you know I'll rise above the occasion when in different situations and when it comes to my opponent. Um, and that was how I prided it. When I prided, you know, I was like I said, I was at my senior year, junior year, during my times really playing. I was about 5'7", 185, not the biggest guy. So I had to figure out what I could do extra to, you know, give me that edge on competition, you know, who may have been bigger. And I went against a lot of bigger receivers. So going back to your point, I think the extra time that you speak about, that gives you the edge on competition for some things that you may lack.
Now, could you give us kind of what a day in your life was like as a student athlete when it came to football? So like in season, say like what time you worked out, what time you had practice, time you had to go to class, and just kind of how did you balance that social aspect, the academic aspect, and then incorporating athletics into that as well?
Okay, good question. I'm gonna give a little a synopsis of each year and how it changes. Just to give guys a idea how your year changes and how your life develops. So short freshman year, as a freshman in Salisbury, we had 5:30 lifting for the freshmen, which was in a different weight room than the veteran guys. But I moved on to the veteran group because I made the travel bus, so that was at 6 a.m. So I woke up at 5:15, made breakfast, made probably oatmeal, got a granola bar, and then I went on, walked to the weight room. So, weights was 6 to 7:30. Finished workouts at 7:30. This is end season. Finished work at 7:30. Then I had a class at 8. All freshman year, you have a lot of those 8 a.m. classes. So I had a class at 8 to 8:50, probably a class from 9 to 9:50, and then I probably had a class from 12 to 12:50. And after that, you go to treatments right before practice, which is about 1:30, and then we get ready for practice at, with DBs, we're a lot different than a lot of positions. We had a lot of focus on small techniques, and we had a lot of pre-practice, which a lot of guys will hear in college football and probably other sports too. But we got out there at 2:45 or 2:30 for a 3:15 practice. So I was done my treatments from 1:30 to probably 2:15. Got ready for practice. Got done practice at about 5:15. Got done that. We may have a meeting about practice afterwards for about 30 minutes. Take a shower, go back home or go to the dining hall, eat my meal, and then it's time to study for school because I had 3 classes today, and I probably got 2 classes the next day. So that was a typical, freshman year day. Probably get to bed around 11:30, 12 o'clock, and got to wake up at 5:15 again, for the next workout or for my 7 a.m. Tuesday meetings that we always had. Sophomore year was pretty much the same. Just probably not as many 8 a.m.s. Probably I still had 6 a.m. lifting. So I always went at the 6 a.m. time. And then I probably had, my classes from, let's say 10 all the way up to, 1:15 right before practice or right before treatments. Junior year was a little bit different just because I was starting to get into internships. And that's, you start getting to your major requirement classes. I was an exercise science major. I double major exercise science and social sciences, and I minored in athletic coaching. So I took a lot of those classes in my junior year, which took a lot of extracurricular time where I had to go shadow practices from, youth leagues or, other people on campus. So again, the same thing, waking up, 5:15, 5 o'clock for my 6 a.m. lifting, get done my 6 a.m. lifting. Then I got to go, then I had a job. So I had to make money still. D3, weren't getting paid. So, I went to my job from 8 o'clock to about 12:30 at the local high school where I mentored, 7th grade students on their math. And then after that, I came from that, went to lunch, got food, and then I went to treatments at 1:30 again. And then I go to practice and do the same thing. And after that, after practice about 5:15, meet with my coach extra, maybe meet on something I didn't understand in practice or watch extra game film. Then I'm studying for my big classes, my anatomy classes, the exercise physiology classes and stuff like that, which, take a lot of time. And then I'm asleep by 1 o'clock, 1 a.m. And I got to get right back up for, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. meeting times on Tuesdays that we had. And my senior year was a little bit different just because I was into my internship, which a lot of guys are going to be into their senior year, no matter what sport you play. But luckily, my internship was with the strength and conditioning program at Salisbury. So I had to be in about 4 o'clock, 4:30 to get ready for lifting, set up the weight room, meet with our head strength and conditioning coach and talk about the workout that. So, get ready for the guys that's coming in at 5:30, 6 o'clock. So I do that. because I was a fifth-year senior, and I did my freshman year at Shepherd, and then I did a lot of my classes within those first 3 years at Salisbury. Doing my internship, getting on my hours, I had to get 375 hours in one semester, which was very hectic. So then I would do that. I would go to practice. It's at 1:30, then go to practice at 3:15. Obviously, like I said, 2:30 pre-practice, and then practice at 3:15. Finish that, and then I would go to another lifting session. I would go to a different sports lifting session. So I'm probably going from lifting from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Sorry about that. And I'm doing my homework for maybe that internship, or doing my homework for the one class I had, because I had my internship, which was 10 credits. Then I had a class, which was 4 credits. So after that, I'm waking back up for another lifting time, probably another 6 a.m. group on a Tuesday. So that was pretty much my senior year, man. It was always filled with something. When I had downtime, it was either studying or it was getting rest. So that's a typical day. For me, exercise science major, if we speak in academics, and for a guy that I took the off the field stuff very seriously, and I took treatments very seriously. So within those 4 years, I think it's a good outlook for guys to understand what it's like as a D3 athlete.
Perfect. All right, last question. What is something that you would say, or what's some advice that you have for high school athletes that are prospective collegiate athletes that may not be considering the D3 level, or who are in the works with talking to D3 recruiters?
Simple, man. Being a recruiter myself, I was a recruiter at Division III, Division II level now. Love who loves you. If a Division III is loving you and a Division II is loving you, you love who love you, and take visits. Take visits to the schools. Introduce yourself to the coaches. Have a good relationship with the coaches, and definitely get to know them as well. Because just as it is an interview for you, it's an interview for them as well. So you have to interview them, ask them questions about themselves, ask them questions about the college, ask them, start talking to players like yourself. Meet, know them, talk to the players, and see what their experience is like. Because everyone wants to go. Everyone wants to go to a place where they feel comfortable, and that Division II, maybe a Division II school, and they may win championships and stuff like that. But if you're not comfortable, you're not part of that winning family, and you're just a number in the winning family, you won't feel at home, and you only get. My big key points was probably be love who loves you, take visits, and experience everything, because you only get recruited once.
Thank you for taking the time out to talk to us. And once again, this is Shane Gaines, graduate of Salisbury University.
Appreciate you, Todd. Have a good one, man.